There's been a couple of milestones in the league by Jaromir Jagr and Sidney Crosby. And does the league really know what it's doing when it hands out penalties? All that and a whole lot more for you tonight on In the Crease. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to In the Crease, where you get real hockey news for real hockey fans. I'm Fiore, your host, as always. Glad to be with you. You know, before we start, let me say that this is the year of vintage jerseys, and this is from 2011. This is, I know the cameramen hate when I do this. This is, and you see that? Sidney Crosby's. There you go. Winter Classic jersey from 2011. That's nice and comfy, too. We'll talk a little bit more about Sid later on in the show. And I want to say a fine hello to our friends on Channel 77 in Fayette County. They're joining us, and nice to have you along. You're finally getting some really good hockey news for a change. Okay. I have to start with this, and pardon me if I rant just a bit. Anybody who is a longtime watcher of this television show, or who knows me and's been out with me talking hockey, knows that I absolutely loathe the Montreal Canadiens. Can't stand them at all. And my favorite team is the Boston Bruins. Now, there's a story why the Boston Bruins are my favorite team, and I'll be glad to tell you that story over maybe a cheeseburger and a cup of coffee. There are numerous stories as to why I loathe the Montreal Canadiens. And for those stories, we'll probably have to go someplace where we can sit and chat over adult libations just to make things a little more interesting. So you can't imagine the trauma I went through recently with this head coach thing. Let me back up just a little bit. Years ago, I had a goaltender. You know, I latch on to goaltenders that I like, and I kind of follow them through their career. And I had a goaltender named Andy Moog, who I thought he was just a top-notch goaltender. Yeah, he played for the Bruins and a couple other teams. Even the Pens tried to get him at one time. And I just thought he was great. In fact, when he went to the Bruins were in a massive slump. They hadn't made the playoffs in years. They looked pitiful. He came in and he brought them not a cup like Timmy Thomas did, but he did get them back into the playoff picture and make them a contender year after year that he was goaltending for them. Then the Bruins decided they were going to go with a younger youth movement in their team, and as a result, they went and traded Moog away. And who did they trade him to? The Montreal Canadiens. I was heartbroken. How could my favorite goalie have the audacity to go to the Canadiens? And then to make it even worse, after he retired, he stayed with the Canadiens as a goaltender coach. You don't know how this tore me apart inside, the hockey fan that I am. I was devastated. I have, down in my video room at home, I have an autographed picture of Andy Moog in his Boston uniform. It's kind of cool. One of my prized collections, if you will. So imagine my chagrin when this whole fiasco with Claude Julien went down. Now, just for those of you that might be watching the show for the first time, or not totally hockey savvy, probably because you listen to Porky Madden all the time, let me tell you that Claude Julien was once the head coach of the Montreal Canadiens, and he did really well. Then suddenly a light came down. Bing! He got smart, and he became head coach of the Boston Bruins. He's been their coach for the last 10 years, and he has done an incredible job. And I say that because Boston doesn't have a good team. They just don't. I don't think they've had a good team since Orr, Esposito, Rattel, and Park left. It hasn't been there, okay? They got a lot of muckers and grinders and blue-collar workers, but Claude Julien was able to make them rise to the occasion. And when they coupled that with the outstanding goaltending of Tim Thomas, naturally, they won themselves a cup. Now, just before the Bruins let Claude Julien go, he had a little something to say to reporters and even to his players. Let's take a look at that video now.
If it's deemed my fault, then I shouldn't be here. That's all I can say. But that's not my decision to make. And if we're going with what we said we'd go with, and saying there's going to be some growing pains along the way, so be it. Did we put ourselves in a position early in the season to maybe be one of those teams that all of a sudden we believe we're a playoff team? Absolutely. I still think we're a playoff team. Whether we can do it or not, we'll know at the end of the year. But my job is still to do everything I can to get us to the playoffs. And that's what I'm going to do. So as far as rumors are concerned, they're out there. I know that. But I don't worry about it, because worrying is wasting a lot of my time, and my time is about trying to fix things here.
Okay, so they fire Claude Julien, put in an assistant to patch up works until they're. I have a feeling the Bruins aren't even going to make the playoffs this year, but we'll wait and see what happens, trade deadline and all. Anyway, who do they go? They Montreal Canadiens then immediately fire Michel Therrien, who was an excellent coach also, and they bring in Claude Julien. So for the second time in my life, somebody that I really like with the Bruins has left the team and gone with the Canadiens. I am so chagrined. They have probably one of the better goaltenders in the league in Carey Price. Now they have, in my estimation, one of the best coaches in there. And, you know, I can't root for this team. I am really... And poor Michel Therrien, who, after all, he was the architect of the Penguin Cup back in, 2009, whatever it was. Okay, so I couldn't get any interviews with these guys, so I'm going to have to rely on my colleagues from Sportsnet Canada, and they're talking about the ramifications of the Canadiens dumping Therrien and bringing in Claude Julien. Take a look.
Eric, thank you for taking the time, buddy.
Hey, I'm pulled over on the highway in Las Vegas. I just got off the 10th hole. I got a call from my editor. He told me the news, and I wasn't altogether shocked. And as to Sid's point, there's nothing like picking up 2 paychecks.
Oh, this is kind of shocking, I think, to most people. I know we read your column yesterday verbatim at points on the air. The first line of the column said, "It's hard to imagine Michel Therrien dodging this bullet." Did you think it would be here and now that he would be dodging this bullet, or actually not dodging the bullet?
I thought it would be out of the bye week, and I thought, no matter what, coming out of the summer, he'd be gone. You just have that kind of losing go on for so long. It's bad optics. And you look at the moves that Marc Bergevin made last summer. These were not long-term moves. They were not looking to win the Stanley Cup with Shea Weber at 35 years old. They made this move getting 4 years older with Weber in the trade for Subban to win now. And the window is now. You look at Carey Price, he's on an expiring contract at the end of next season. He could be making as much as $10 million or $11 million on his next contract. There's no team in the cap era winning with a goalie making that much. He's the one guy that potentially could take you there on his own, but that's a long shot. And right now, the Canadiens have a window to win, and they couldn't allow that energy to continue. I thought Therrien would be given a chance to right the ship for a couple games out of the bye week, see with a fully healthy roster for the first time in a long time, with Gallagher back, with a well-rested team. There would be no more excuses, and he'd have a chance. So I'm a bit surprised it's done, but I'm not fully surprised.
Right.
Eric, how does I have a million questions. How does Claude Julien get Carey Price to play better? How does Claude Julien get other guys not named Pacioretty and Radulov to score?
Well, there's a Galchenyuk there, too.
And Galchenyuk as well. Mm. How does Claude Julien get the blue line to tighten up? Like, I love Claude Julien. He has a great rep. He has a ring. I don't. But this is a tough task, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a tough task. But you know what? I loved something that Adam Oates said on Hockey Night in Canada last weekend. He said, when a new coach comes in, it makes a big difference for 6 guys. 3 guys who are going to get more ice time right away, and 3 guys who are going to get less. And you look at one guy in particular that wasn't getting a lot of ice time under Michel Therrien. That's Alex Galchenyuk. He's got to be a pinnacle player for the Canadiens. He needs somebody behind him really believing in what he can do to boost his confidence. They haven't been missing all that much on the defensive end. I think offensively, they've certainly hit a wall, and the secondary scoring hasn't been there. Therrien's vision was to balance out his lines. He felt this team could be that much better if, they had that first line of Philip Danault with Radulov and Pacioretty going, if they could get a secondary boost with Galchenyuk away from them, if Galchenyuk could be a self-starter, a guy who makes the guys around him better. Right now, there's got to be a confidence boost for that guy in particular. I look at a guy like Nathan Beaulieu, who could see his ice time boost as a result of this. I also think that Marc Bergevin is not done here. I think he might have a trade or two up his sleeve. He certainly will have one between now and March 1st. I think if it was easier to make, maybe Michel Therrien wouldn't have been fired as quickly as he was. But the other side of it is, they have this caveat about having a French coach, a guy that can at least speak the language. And when the best one available is on the market, with things going the way they were, it was clear that Marc Bergevin wasn't going to wait any longer. And I think, the renewed energy could bring the Habits back. You hear Carey Price with a comment saying, we seem to have lost our identity and we need to reset. That's telling. I think Price obviously has to pick up his game. He's a guy that I would bet on doing that, considering his track record over the last 3-4 years. And we'll see what it results for everybody else. They come out of the bye week with one practice on Friday and then a 2 p.m. game against Winnipeg on Saturday. So it's going to be wild.
Yeah. Put as much spin on it as you want. Just frustrated beyond belief here. All right, now I got that off my chest. So here and coaches, by the way, are dropping like flies here. I think this is going to be kind of interesting as the playoff season nears by. Speaking of things that are interesting, how about dishing out penalties? This is the league now, not the referees on the ice, but when the league comes in for things. A couple of incidents happened here that I think deserve a little bit of attention. First, let's take a look at Antoine Vermette. Now, ladies and gentlemen, any of you who have ever played hockey on any level knows that the referees can sometimes leave an awful lot to be desired. As a player, as an assistant coach, as a coach, and as a spectator, I can tell you I've heard some of the most bizarre things come from the mouths of referees, things that they infuriated me, let alone the players on the ice, even trying to manipulate the game for a closer contest or a preferred outcome. Oh yes, it's there and it does exist. Now, not saying that's the case here, but Antoine Vermette was obviously in a state of massive frustration. People turned this thing into, well, my God, he was Freddy Krueger. He was Jason Voorhees. It kind of looked like a little love tap to me, something to say, get your act together. Why don't you take a look at it and see what we're talking about.
Valentine's evening. And we got a whistle. Thought he had blown the whistle saying that he was going to redo the face-off, but now we have a discussion with the officials here.
Linesmen can call penalties if they deem something to have happened. Talking to both referees, so it could be something that was said from the bench. It could be something that a player did.
The explanation is directed at the Ducks, which would tell you likely whatever reason for the whistle is going to go against Anaheim.
I'm thinking that it might be something that was said from the bench. We'll see if that's the case.
I thought he had blown a whistle as if there was going to be a false start on the draw, but it's going to be a game misconduct against Antoine Vermette.
Abusive officials. So yes, he can. Linesman can make the call there, and Vermette in the face-off circle. You see that the puck's dropped. Oh, what did he swing at him for? My goodness, it looked like he took a bit of a swat at the linesman. That is shocking, to say the least. Hard to know how much.
It was an awkward draw because he lifted his stick up before the puck hit the ice.
Yeah.
But power play will result. It's still 5-on-5, but a 10-minute misconduct for abuse of officials.
In the face-off circle, here's the swipe. Watch. Right there, he chops him in the back of the leg. I mean, I can't believe what I just saw. I just can't believe a player would think that they would get away with something like that. And that's why the linesman quickly grabbed both referees and said, listen, something's amiss here.
Okay, the fine for that was 10 games, not paid. It's going to cost Vermette $98,000. That's what it's going to hit him in the pocketbook for that little love tap on the legs of the referee. Now we go to Nyquist. I guess everybody's seen this. It went viral. This is why, even when I saw it watching the game, I was like, wow, okay, this is Nyquist, high sticking. This video speaks for itself. Take a look.
Stewart to the puck. Mantha trying to work it free. Puck comes to Zetterberg, but a Detroit penalty. Spurgeon remains down.
Yeah, it was Nyquist that got the stick up on Spurgeon. Well, there's Gustav Nyquist battling with Chris Stewart. Jared Spurgeon comes in and gives him a shot. Nyquist doesn't like it. Watch Nyquist. Retaliatory play on Jared Spurgeon. You have to be in control of your stick. To me, that's one of those where you throw the guy right out of the game for a play like that.
Okay, for that, Nyquist received 6 games suspension. Wait, it gets even better, okay? They stuck a microphone in Nyquist's face, and they said, pardon me, but could you please explain what went wrong? Listen to his alibi.
Well, completely unaccidental. I mean, obviously, didn't mean to do that. My stick gets caught. I'm trying to get body position on him. I'm happy he was out there again. Obviously, had no intention of doing that, so my stick gets caught, and it looks bad, but I'm happy he's okay. Accidental. Sorry if I was saying unaccidental. That was sorry. I was trying to get over the other side of him, and my stick gets caught. Yeah, it's obviously I gotta have better control of my stick. Well, that's just a battle. I mean, that's just the way it goes along the boards. And, then after that, I'm trying to get body position on him, and again, my stick gets crossed. So it was good to see him out there right after. I'm happy he was out there playing the rest of the game.
Okay, I've got to tell you, anybody that knows hockey knows that he should have received 6 games just for that lame alibi he gave for his actions. You got to be kidding me. There is nothing of truth in that thing at all. It's like listening to Democrats. There's nothing in there that has any value whatsoever. I'd have given him 6 games just for that. Now, my point here, and please, I understand what the situation is. You cannot have players going after referees. That's Bush League. You see that in the beer leagues. You might see that occasionally down in the lower levels, and usually it involves parents going after referees. So I understand you have to maintain the integrity and the authority status of the referees. I understand that, and I'm all for that. But Nyquist's actions could have seriously injured someone. Hitting near the eye? No. What are you thinking? Accident? Stick got hung up? No, I don't think so. That's a player with no discipline losing their cool. So how do you justify 10 games for the one and only 6 games for the other? I realize there's a little bit of importance there with the referees, but I'm sorry. I think they're both kind of equal. In fact, I still would have given Nyquist more, even if it looked bad because the referee call got less. That was a dangerous play, and that's the type of thing that gives hockey a bad name. Not fighting on the ice, not chippy play, that type of thing. Now, one can injure, and one is just the league trying to get its priorities straight. Hey, if you want to talk about this, you can certainly do it on the In the Crease Facebook page. I'll be glad to banter with you back and forth on some posts there or in the chat room if you want. But I think Nyquist's attack was a lot more severe than going after the referee, and it just shows that the league is in balance. There you go. There you have it. Let's get on to some happier news. I'm wearing Sid's shirt today because Sid passed the milestone. 1,000 points. It's quite a milestone. There's some players who've been playing for years haven't reached that yet or even come close. And he's the youngest player to do it. I'm getting tired of people in the Pittsburgh market talking about Sid and his 1,000 points. They're reading off of the same script, and you can tell it's coming from Tom McMillan's desk. Really? You couldn't think of anything better to say than this? And if you got to listen to frickin' Frack doing the play-by-play, well, you know they're going to say it's incredible and it's unbelievable, because if you take those two words out of the English language, Staggy can't call a game. So instead, I'm going to turn once again to my friends at Sportsnet Canada, and let's get views from around the league on Sid's 1,000-point
World Junior Gold, 2 Olympic golds, World Championship gold, and now 2 Stanley Cups.
Brilliant stuff for Sidney Crosby. One of the best players in all hockey. Put it on the Sid vid, you know.
Pittsburgh Penguins select from Rimouski in the Quebec Major Junior League, Sidney Crosby.
Sidney Crosby will get the assist, his first NHL point.
You know, it's just amazing how fast kind of time flies by.
Still a loose puck picked up by Ricky. Shoots and scores. I think it was Crosby. And Sidney Crosby has scored his first goal ever in a Pittsburgh Penguins uniform.
He's been a great player, you know, since he came into the league, and to get 1,000 points says a lot about your career.
We started playing together in the same time, and you know, I reached it. But I'm sure, like, if he was not hurt, injured, and was not hurt, like, he would pass it right before me.
Look at that! Another great play by Crosby to the goal.
He's put up numbers continuously every year, and I think with, you know, you look at someone like Henrik Sedin, who just hit 1,000 points, and I think he's 35 or 36 years old, and Crosby's not even 30. He's going to hit 1,000 points, so it shows you what an amazing career he's had.
I'm not surprised he's so close to 1,000 points already, because he is just obviously one of the best players in the league, and he's a special player. And I've been fortunate enough to play with him a few times and really see the things he can do, and you know, he amazes you every time.
Recchi down the wing to Crosby in front. He scores! What a goal by Sidney Crosby! Absolutely off the charts.
I think his career has just been, it's been impressive. You know, not only his accomplishments, but the things he's gone through, the concussions, the injuries. You know, he's missed a lot of time and still managed to come back.
Here's Crosby with a burst of speed up the middle, gets open and scores! Welcome back, Sid!
The hurdles he's gone through in his career, it's very impressive. I think there's no doubt why he's proved to be the best player in the game.
You know, and I think he's just having fun right now and enjoying it and messing with all of us.
Everybody was ready to anoint maybe Connor McDavid as the next one. Well, listen, Sidney Crosby said, hey, wait a second. Don't forget about me.
I remember watching him play in Rimouski, and you know, I don't really feel old, but it makes me feel a little bit older, and I'm sure for him, he definitely can't believe it's gone by so fast, and for him to get 1,000 points, obviously it's an amazing accomplishment, especially for how little games he's played. If you can even do half the things he's done in his career, that's a great career. My first thoughts are just with all the guys I play with over the years, and you know, they're a part of it, so it's fun to be able to get a number like that.
There you go. From his colleagues, from his peers, from his coaches, certainly a lot more gravitas than the Freylocks in this town spewing out the same lines that you know were written by Tom anyway. So there you go. Now you know what kind of impact it really, really had. This show is called In the Crease for a reason. We concentrate on goalies, and you can add Minnesota Wild netminder Devan Dubnyk to the list of goaltenders who are starting to get a little ticked off about contact in the crease. People, how many years on this show have I been preaching that the goaltenders need to start being aggressive? I don't mean aggressive by coming out to the top of the paint and trying to stop a breakaway. I mean being aggressive. Ron Hextall, ring a bell. How about Billy Smith, ring a bell? These guys were warriors. You didn't dare come close to, and if you did, you knew you were going to pay the price. The goaltenders in this league have a reputation for being pansies. Inglewood Jack Go look that up and see what you find. These goaltenders need, and you know what? Devin's a big boy. I mean, he's what, like 6'7", 6'8"? He can wail. He can hang in there. Listen, not that, when I was playing, I had several seasons in which I held the, in fact, I still hold in the Gasoline League, for any of you that remember the Gasoline League, I still hold the record for the number of times a goaltender was tossed out of the game. But, you know, in the long run, it worked because if somebody was able to get a breakaway or a 2-on-1 situation, they were leery. And that's all you need. Make sure they're a little bit uncertain, and you can have a better chance of making that save. Devin, baby, the rest of the goalies in the league, get your act together. Start swinging it. You know, if you need, I'll give you lessons. But you guys know what to do. You're just not doing it. Another thing about goaltenders here that we got to talk about is, as of now, the goaltenders are all wearing small pants. You probably don't know that. But, yeah, the league passed by that, you know, we need to make the goaltenders' pants skinnier. So that's what they did, and all of them are wearing it now. And you see how much scoring has gone up? Right, it hasn't. That's right. Because every time Bettman, who doesn't understand hockey at all, thinks hockey is basketball with a bigger net, every time Bettman tries to make scoring higher, he attacks the goaltenders, their stance, their style, their equipment, the nets, whatever. That's not the problem. The problem is the composite sticks. And we've talked about that long enough. You know, it wasn't too long ago, Major League Baseball finally came out with an edict and said, that's it, wooden bats. That's no more aluminum, no more composite, nothing. Wood bats, period. You know, I'll tell you something right now, and I'll throw down this gauntlet. If the NHL said wooden sticks, that's it. We're going back to wood, wooden sticks. Not only would the game change, probably the way the league wants it to, but you would find an awful lot of players who do not justify their salaries. Therein lies the rub, my friend. You know, we had another milestone in the league since the last show, and that is the ageless wonder, Jaromir Jagr. While Sidney Crosby was celebrating 1,000 points, Jagr, who's been playing in the league since the Jurassic period, celebrated 1,900 points. And you know what's really sweet? He got the 19th 100 point on his birthday. That's pretty cool. Here's a little montage of Jagr. Say that's going to be all the time we have for today. Got to wrap this thing up. Do want to tell you, however, that between this show and the next show, the trading deadline will have come and gone. That means that teams will kind of be locked in for their playoff run. And on the next show, I will upgrade the playoff predictions that I gave you in the very first show of this hockey season. So we'll make some of our changes there heading into the playoffs, and you'll have brand new predictions on the next show of In the Crease. A lot of exciting things happening. Can't wait to be with you again. Until then, please enjoy the games. And remember, when it comes to hockey, if you're in the game, you're in the crease. Good night, everyone.